In this series, we'll be looking at living with depression and anxiety disorders. There'll be mention of suicide, so listener discretion is advised. The aim of these podcasts is to remind you that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope, and it's possible to make a full recovery and live a good life, wherever you are on your journey.
Welcome to the Recovery Podcasts. My name's Kimberly Myhill, and today I'm speaking to Jason Kercher from Norwich about his experiences with recovery from depression and anxiety. Hi Jason.
Hello Kimberly.
Thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you, because we've been talking online for quite a while about our experiences with depression and anxiety disorders. You've got quite an interesting backstory, I think, of how you became depressed, if you don't mind that term. So could you tell me a bit about it, and then?
Yeah, of course. Basically, I was at work and was involved in an armed robbery. Fought them off, and subsequently from that experience suffered probably 12 years of depression and anxiety, culminating in pretty much all, as far as I was concerned, an almost breakdown.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have to, but I reached out for help and started to turn my life around.
Yeah. So obviously I'd say it's interesting. I know it was traumatic at the time, but it's just interesting for you that you know what your trigger was. I think quite a lot of people can become depressed or anxious, and they're not. It's a series of events rather than a significant event like you've described. So you still work in the same profession, is that right?
I do, yes.
So was the reason that you left your previous role because of what happened?
It was partly because of what happened, because every time I walked through the door, it was a big reminder of what had happened. But at the time, I didn't really understand what the feelings were. I just thought that was me dealing with it, and with the benefit of hindsight, I can look back and say, you weren't dealing with it.
Probably should have got out, So how long after did you stay there?
I stayed there for probably another 6 months or so. I got taken off the shop floor and I got put into more off the shop floor work. And then another opportunity arose where I could leave that particular business, so I then went for it.
Yeah.
And sort of, that was very helpful in getting me out of where it had happened, but the fear and the anxiety came with me.
It didn't deal with the issues. No. So you say it was 12 years really before you reached out. Would you say that there was a particular circumstance or something that led you to reach out, or had you just got beyond to the point where you couldn't?
I think it was a mixture of both. That whilst I was, after he got sentenced, he got 11 years for what he did. Won't go into the finer details because it is what it is. But I felt that once I'd seen him get sentenced and known that he was going away, I thought, that's all right. I'm over it. But it would then appear that every 3 months or so, I'd be riding okay, and then something would happen, and I'd just feel myself tailing down, and then it'd be the spiral down, till I hit the bottom. I'd have that for 3 months, and then something would happen, and I'd come back up again, and it was this cycle, 3 or 4 times a year, and it just built and built and built to a crescendo where I just thought, if I don't ask for help, I'm going to hurt myself.
Yeah, and I think that pattern that you've described is how people not get away with it, but hide it for so long, because on the face of it you can appear to be perfectly well and normal, for want of a better phrase, and people don't pick up on it, because by the time they perhaps notice that you've been a bit quiet for 3 months, you're then back and you're out and you're doing things. And so I think that pattern is definitely a way of masking it from other people. So I'm pleased that you reached out before you did hurt yourself. Would you say that you self-harmed in less sort of obvious ways?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't physically self-harm, but I was self-harming mentally. Because if I could find anything to beat myself up about mentally, I would do. I hated the way I looked, I hated myself. I couldn't understand why people liked me. I couldn't be around people I didn't know. There's all these factors that would just build up and build up and build up, and I would go very quiet. But if people asked me what was wrong, I would mask it by saying it was something else. Something I would never have the courage to actually face what was making me feel the way I was.
No.
And when I did reach out, I was talking to a dear friend of mine, and it was, inside my head was as black as it could be. It was as dark, with the darkest clouds you could imagine. And by talking to him, I had my eyes shut, and I was talking to him on the phone, and it was like chinks of light were coming through. And I can't, I'm trying the best I can to explain it.
Yeah.
But then when I finished talking, I was just sobbing as well. Because it was just like a balloon had just got so big and just burst.
Yeah.
And it all just came out, and I opened my eyes and everything seemed brighter.
Yeah.
And for the first time in at least 10, 11 years, I felt that there was good, and I was good.
That's amazing. That's really good. So this friend, what did they do? Did they do anything to encourage you to tell them, or was it you kind of instigated it? Or
he's always said that if I needed to talk to him any time, I went to university with him. We lived together at university. He's a dear, dear friend, and he's always said, and I just phoned him up and said, Shinty, I need help.
I need to talk to you. Yeah, that's good.
And what I found with that, I then was able to see it in other people.
Yeah, yeah.
I was able to look at other people and go, crikey, I used to be like that. Well, I am still like that. There's bits of that I am like. But I just wish people would talk about it. I wish that the stigma of particularly fellas talking about it, and obviously just recently, Keith Flint from The Prodigy.
Yeah, yeah.
And Mike from Love Island. You know, it's if only they'd spoken to somebody or knew that they could speak to somebody, they could still be here. And that's the sad, sad thing. Is
there something that you wish you had, so in the years leading up to you finally speaking to somebody, do you wish that what do you wish was there that would have prompted you to do it sooner?
I think with things like social media is good and bad in equal measure.
Yeah.
It's good because you can keep in touch with people and you can find things that interest you. But it's bad because unless you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And if I'd found things that I could tap into, because since I've explained about having anxiety and depression, you see posts and you go, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
But because you don't really know.
But it's not there before.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's probably always been there.
Yeah.
But you don't recognise it either in yourself or in other people's posts. You think you are the only one.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
And when you then do finally talk about it, you realise that, crikey, all these people, like you say, who you perceive to be, as society deems normal, we've all got our little issues. And if we all to talk about it, I think we can all try and help each other a bit more.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's the goal, certainly from my point of view. The things that I try to do is that I'd like to normalise the conversation as much as people do headaches, colds, coughs. Because it's the kind of thing that everybody will get at some point. It's likened to grief, which is something pretty much everybody will go through it at some point in their lives. I think it's interesting with the stigma that you raise, especially for men. I think it's rife still.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it is, in my opinion, one of the things that hinders the conversation the most is the perception of how you will be judged or reacted to. Is your employer supportive with your...
Yeah. I am very fortunate. You know, when I needed to reach out for help, I had a good chat with my boss and explained what was going on, and that they knew that something was not quite right with me, but until I was ready to say this is what it is, they, you know, it was difficult for them, but they've been very supportive. Very, very supportive.
That's good.
Yeah.
And is there anything that so once you'd had your conversation and you did feel a little instant relief because you'd kept it in for so long, what behaviours did you then notice began to change as a result of that conversation?
I've always liked being outside. I've always liked walking, I always liked just wild camping or just being outside. And for me, it was because it was like an escape. And I likened it to, with the event that happened, I was forced into a corner. And so if I was outside, I was always looking, or wherever I was looking for an exit.
Yeah.
I was always looking for a way out. So when I was outside, I could see everything. I had a 180-degree view. So I knew that I was safe in respect. Anything came along, I could scuttle off one way or scuttle off another. But since asking for help, I can be outside and enjoy being outside for being outside's sake. It's not that I feel, or if I felt confined, it's I can be out there and I can look at the trees, listen to the birds, look for buzzards, look for kestrels and all that sort of thing. I can enjoy the moment rather than looking for ways to escape. Yeah. To escape, really, what was going on inside my head.
So did you start to go out more following that sort of, and used that as a way of recovering?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do find, and there's lots of studies that say you spend half an hour outside, it'll raise your levels of I think it's serotonin. I think.
All your happy chemicals.
Yeah, exactly. But you spend an hour outside, and it will effectively change your mindset. Well, it won't change your mindset, but it'll change your mood significantly.
Yeah.
And whereas before, I would, like I say, I'd be outside, but it was just scanning to look for.
It seems like you took quite a logical approach to your recovery in terms of if I do this, it will result in this, and it kind of seems like it was methodical in the way that you've approached going out more will equate to this, and that's how you've done it, because you've lost quite a dramatic amount of weight as well, haven't you? Is that part of your recovery, would you say? You must feel so much better.
I do, yes, yeah. It was a case of, it's beauty of having hindsight. Hindsight is 20/20 vision. You're able to look back and go, well, I think you were overeating because you were comfort eating. At the time, I was just like, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I'll just keep sticking it in, and then before you know it, you look in the mirror and you go, well, I don't like myself anyway. No. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I'll just keep going and keep going and keep going. And then once I reached out for help, everything, it was like the light had been switched on and jigsaw pieces were going, clicking in, and I was able to get my head more, and I've when I've got big and I've used, different diets to lose a bit of weight, I thought, I can do that anytime.
Yeah.
And then it goes back on and more, and then once I started to get my head together, I started, and it's because
I think it's such a reward, isn't it, when if you want to lose weight, and then you do, the feeling of that is such a boost that it makes you want to do more of that and that kind of activity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fitness builds, and because you're off to do your 3 Peaks challenge.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
which I suspect you wouldn't have been able to do before.
Well, no, that's right. And I was on a training walk a couple of weekends ago with one of my friends who I'm doing the walk with, and he said, "Not being offensive, Chase. I said, that's quite all right. You can say what you like to me, my man." He said, 2 or 3 years ago, he said, we wouldn't even thought of this. No. Because you wouldn't have been able to get the hills. No. And whilst I can walk on the flat, no problem, get a bit of an incline, I'd be holding them up, and and he said, we won't, we've always wanted to do this with you, but your fitness, whilst it's good, wasn't enough.
And it's a mental challenge as well, that you have to prepare yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot of other factors when you are living with anxiety to factor in. So I think you've done a really, really well, and I think that it really shows in we follow each other on Instagram.
We do indeed,
such things and I just think it really comes across that you seem very happy and content with what you have, but it doesn't stop you from going out and looking at what else is out there. And I think it's definitely clear that the journey that you've had, and I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
And that you do so much to support others, and talking about it, like you say, normalising it is a big part of getting yourself well, isn't it? So,
absolutely. Yeah. And it's not because you want to find out what's going on in other people's lives. It's because you know that you're sharing the same experiences, and there is, I think, credence in the old adage of a problem shared is a problem halved.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to wave a magic wand and be able to cure people, but as long as people know they're not alone. Yeah. And and as I say on quite a few of my posts, we're all works in progress, and if we can help each other, and we can help each other biff along better, then I think, it's all to the good.
Yeah, okay. So just before we finish then, one thing that you would say to somebody who is struggling right now?
What I would say is if you feel you need to ask for help, ask for help. Talk, vocalise it, get it out of your head, and then just engage with people. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. Cheers.
If you'd like to get in touch or need more information about mental health services in your area, then you can contact Equal Lives online or over the phone. If you're in crisis and need urgent help, then call NHS 111 or the Samaritans on 116 123.